The road to the Legion Baseball World Series runs through West Fargo. The Central Plains Regional continuing at Young Field tonight with our host team in action. The West Fargo Patriots, one of just 4 teams remaining in the main bracket. Their next test, a meeting against Swisher Post 671, the state champions out of Iowa. Breezy night both inside and outside the ivy walls of Young Field. Patriots got the early jump, scoring first on a Cooper Fuchs line drive right back up the middle into center. Caleb Anderson comes around to score from second. RBI singles the Pats up 1-0. Same score as we head into the 4th inning. Swisher looking to make its own noise in response, loading up the bases with nobody out. Landon Ruby flies a ball out to center field. Caleb Deere makes the grab, but it's deep enough to score the run and tie it up at 1. Swisher wasn't done yet either. 2 batters later, it's Nolan Gross sending a shot fair down the right field line. This is going to be a go-ahead RBI double, a 2-1 lead for Swisher, and that would end up being the difference as Swisher hands West Fargo its first loss of this regional, a 2-1 defeat. Meanwhile, in the elimination bracket earlier today, Fargo Post 2 surviving with a dominant effort over Renner out of South Dakota, 8-2 the final there. This now means that our 2 local teams will play each other tomorrow. The winner moving on, the loser going